Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2092. Be prepared to be inspired, and you're going to be entertained too.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Texas. Yeehaw! Got deep roots in Texas, family. My grandparents had a farm there for many years. My dad was born there, so I love Texas, with a very special guest by the name of James Chen. James, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Release the clutch? What's that? I can't drive a stick shift. I'll leave it in drive and let the autopilot do its work.
Yeah, well, I've got to warn you listeners, this is going to be a fun one because James, well, he's quite a character. Let me just put it that way. He loves to tease and have fun, and I cannot wait to talk with him. Now, James, before I introduce you and we talk about your business, what's one little thing, I'm almost afraid to ask this, what's one little thing that people don't know about you, bud?
You know what? That's probably the most difficult question to answer because I am fairly visible on social media. I've done a couple of videos and I've talked about my business, my passion on cars and my career and so on and so forth. So I think whatever people don't know about me, I probably prefer to keep it that way. That's my skeleton in the closet.
Yeah, I can only imagine. You know, one of the things that you might, and I'll post it on James' show notes page here on the Cars Yeah website. He was featured on a Petrolicious video. Remember Petrolicious back when they were doing videos? And Afshin, the original founder of that company, he's since sold it, was around back then. He was a guest on my show. There's a very cool video of James and his Lusso that's worth watching. So I'll put a link to that. Was that a fun video to shoot?
That was a fantastic video. And I must correct you there, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not one video, but 5. Yes.
What?
5 videos. So I was, the first video was about my Lamborghini Countach. And that was my first Petrolicious outing.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. Wow. Well.
And then subsequently we follow up with my 64 Ferrari 250 GTL, or commonly known as a Lusso. And that had over, like a million views or whatnot. Yeah. And then they asked me, hey, do you want to do more? So then I did a parody on April 1st with a Chrysler LeBaron convertible as America's masterpiece.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our April Fool's Day joke. And then subsequently we did another one on my Jaguar XK SS recreation. So I had a kind of a Lynx/Ram/Tempero kind of XK SS built, and that was featured in one of the videos. And then the very last one was on my 2006 Spiker C8 Spider.
Whoa.
So,
wow.
Been around the block.
Yeah, no kidding. I apologize for, underplaying your movie prowess here, buddy. I mean, my goodness. So Oscars all across the mantle, I would guess.
The clutch is depressed. I am in first gear and I'm ready to roll off.
All right. We'll have some fun. James Chen is the founder of ALMAX-USA, selling automotive truck and wheels made here in the United States. He's been in love with cars since he was a little kid, playing with Matchbox and Hot Wheels. Sounds like me. In high school, his entrepreneurial spirit blossomed, and he used his mom's credit card to buy and sell wheels to his friends in school. I love this. I love that. That's very cool. He's been in the aftermarket space since 1983 and started retail sales in 1997 at Axis Wheels. He's built and sold several companies, and today is still playing with cars, having fun in the automotive world, making and selling his wheels. I love it. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our sponsor, so please give them a little love. They keep the lights on here. Keep your seatbelts tight. We're with James Chen in Texas. It's going to be wild. We'll be right back. I love Covercraft's new 5-layer all-climate cover. It was developed and engineered for anything Mother Nature can throw our way. It's very soft, breathable, and easy to store and pampers your paint and interior surfaces, providing maximum UV, rain, dust, and snow protection. Add their gust guards for windy conditions for extra protection. Their 5-layer all-climate cover is custom tailored with Covercraft's attention to detail, form and fit with a quality and attention that's been their standard since 1965. Covercraft protects cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, trailers, and watercraft too. Every one of my vehicles is protected by a Covercraft cover. And I have a deal for you. Use the code YEAH21 at covercraft.com and you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order plus free shipping. That's right, 10% off and free shipping. Just type in the word YEAH, Y-E-A-H, 21 at checkout, YEAH21 at covercraft.com. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Zengen. It's a company that I learned about when I had Zengen's Matt Spurlock as a guest here on Cars Yeah. Matt's helping us enthusiasts understand the benefits of using oil analysis and proper sampling methods with the Zengen Consumer Testing Service to determine the condition of your engine in anything from cars to motorcycles, boats, and even aircraft engines. I gave it a try with my 2 vehicles, sent in my samples with their easy-to-use sample kit, and received my own personal Zengen report. I was thrilled to discover that both my cars got the perfect score of 10. What a relief. Wouldn't you like to know what's going on inside your engine before something expensive goes wrong that you had no idea was lurking under the hood? It's like a blood test for your body, but for your vehicle. Father's Day is coming, and I know Dad doesn't want another pair of socks or a goofy tie. This year, give Dad his very own Zengen Oil Test Kit, and you'll make him smile. And I've got a great deal for you and for Dad. Go to ZengenScore.com and use the code CARSYEAH20, and you'll get 20% off your first 2 kits. What a deal! Preventative knowledge and maintenance could save you thousands, and you'll rest better at night knowing your engine's condition is A-OK. That's ZengenScore.com and use the code CARSYEAH20 today. Most people don't think about their collector car insurance until their annual premium becomes due. Well, why wait and see if there are better options for your beloved rides? I didn't. Did you know if you change carriers before your policy runs out, your insurance company has to refund you the unearned portion of your policy premium? I did my homework, I shopped around, and I found American Collectors Insurance. And that's who protects my Porsche Turbo. That's right, the one I call my Orange Crush. They've been protecting collector vehicles since 1976. I encourage you to call my friends at American Collectors Insurance. Ask them about their agreed value policy. And if your collector vehicle is on your regular auto policy, you will be shocked at the savings, not to mention the assurance, should something bad happen to your ride, that you'll get what your vehicle is actually worth. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of Mark Green at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call today. So James, we're back. So we're going to dive a little deeper into the corner. Walk us through how you got into the wheel business. I mentioned buying and selling wheels in high school. You were very entrepreneurial and very spirited, and I love this about you. That's how those of us who get started do this kind of thing. I was waxing cars, so you were a few steps ahead of me. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your love for wheels, but also let's talk about ALMAX.
So let's start with my career in high school. Grew up around cars, loved cars, but we came from a financially disadvantaged family. So we didn't have any cool cars, but my friends did. And back in the days, I grew up in a small town that was predominantly populated by Asian Americans. So the cool cars to have was more of a Prelude, a Celica, a Corolla, and not a Mustang or a Camaro or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So at that juncture, everybody wanted a supercars. They want to change the wheels and tires. They want to load the car, add the exhaust, so on and so forth. But there just simply wasn't that many options for the Japanese style cars. The American wheel companies, such as American Racing, Centerline, and Weld, just didn't look right on the Japanese import. So we were, again, poor, on the wrong side of town. And I basically start reading a couple of these Japanese magazines. And I go, hey, they've got all these cool wheels for the Corollas and the Preludes and the Celicas. So I took up my well-to-do friends that were saving up for these wheels, but they didn't know how to get them here. I kind of told a little bit of a tall tale and said, oh yeah, my uncle was in Japan and I can get any wheels you want. Just let me know what you want.
Cool.
And from there, I went to a local college to buy a English to Japanese dictionary and kind of taught myself how to write in Japanese. And it was really three types of writing. It was katakana, katakana, and kanji. Kanji is pretty much Chinese, and I am Chinese, so I can kind of fiddle around. And everything was done on a fax machine back then. So I made a little cover sheet and looked really professional and told them that I'm a company in the United States, and here's a credit card, and I would like to order these wheels. Well, quickly work out around that I'm the wheel guy, and I was bringing all these different wheels in for friends. And I was probably averaging, I don't know, a set a month, and you can probably make $300-400. So that's a lot of beer money. I mean, that's a lot of money for books. So
yeah.
for a 16-year-old kid, it was fantastic. And subsequently, that kind of became, the business I kind of fell into. It was truly a passion that turned into a business.
I love this.
And then shortly, I think my first real job was I was working for a company that was selling Japanese wheels by then. I was helping them to bring them in, but I just didn't have the money to invest in that company. So it was a little shop down the street, and we were known to be the people to bring in all these little Japanese parts here and there. And then I think the next real job was to sell AMG parts of wheels back in 1986 or 87 for Beverly Hills Motoring Accessory, Andy Cohen.
Andy, yeah.
Yeah. So he was one of my bosses. He was rather impressed with my knowledge on German cars. I had all the chassis codes memorized, the bolt patterns, what fits what, and so on and so forth. So I worked for him for briefly and then went to work for Klaus Ittensberger at CEC. And that was my other real job. And by then we were the importer for Lowenzer wheels, AC Schnitzer, so on and so forth.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I got my start.
You know, this is such a cool story. And yeah, I've known Andy forever. Sadly, we lost him a few years ago suddenly, which was just tragic. But I've known him forever. In fact, I bought a car cover from him, I believe when I was in high school, and ended up being a Covercraft car cover, which is a sponsor of mine. Yeah, it sounds like you and I have kind of a same pattern a little bit in this car world, but I'm really impressed by your fortitude and your drive and hard work. And now today you've got ALMAX. Tell us about this brand.
Sure. So everybody's kind of understanding the current climate right now in business. The China manufacturing is having some issues. The shipping cost is enormous. We're paying anywhere from 3 to 5 times shipping costs to get products from China here. Huge delay, 45 to 90 days. And I'm looking around going, this is clunky. This is not going to make sense. And there just seems to be kind of a revive of Americana and things made in the USA. So I looked long and hard, searched and looked for compatible factories. And finally, found a factory in Ohio and made a deal with them to start manufacturing wheels made in America.
Oh, I love this. And it's so important, jobs here and so forth, and this resurgence of U.S. made in USA. But, really, I was saying capital goes where capital grows. And when things started happening in China with COVID and manufacturing and now shipping and the cost of shipping, I've talked to people that used to pay $2,500, $3,000 for a container. Now it's $35,000 or more. And it's become out of control. So again, you're a very smart business person. You kind of figured it out. So these wheels that you sell, what kinds of wheels do you sell for what kinds of vehicles?
So again, we could have made any type of wheels for any type of cars. But what we find a lot of aftermarket sales for these wheels are truck and Jeep enthusiasts. So that seems kind of a no-brainer. So we are targeting wheels made for Jeeps, Ram, Ford, Chevy, and Toyota. I mean, Toyota's now made in Texas. And they're enormously popular on the Tundras. And I think the Tacomas are made in now Mexico. So you have a Mexican taco, so to speak, made over there as well. So those are our concentration. We see the void there. We see enthusiasts that are patriotic. And our tagline is kind of like, buy American, made by American, for an American. So it all makes sense. We make good looking, stout, strong, affordable wheels to bring jobs back to America.
Well, I love this. Now, how are your wheels manufactured? What type of materials? There's different ways that wheels are made and so forth. So tell us a little bit about the specifications.
Sure. So they're 6000 series aluminum, 6061. Not to get too technical, they're aluminum alloy. The wheels are made by a factory that makes the OEM wheels for Subaru, Toyota, and Honda made in USA.
Nice.
So we're actually doing them a favor, but they're also doing us a favor. A couple of years back, when there's a chip shortage, they shut down the factory. Toyota's not building any cars. Neither is Subaru, neither is Honda, in America, so to speak. So they shut down the production line on the factory of the cars, and they shut down the wheel factories. So people were displaced and didn't have jobs or had to be laid off for months. So the owner of that factory going, this will never happen again, not on my watch. And we're going to make aftermarket wheels and some aftermarket wheels, great quality. But even if this happens again, the factory will still be running and the people will still have jobs making wheels for the aftermarket side, which is unaffected by the OEM side.
Yeah, this has been a huge wake-up call, I think, for a lot of manufacturers around the world. And, of course, now you see the tragedy happening in Ukraine and how that shut down some manufacturing, I believe, for Porsche, Audi, and some other manufacturers because some of the wiring harnesses, I understand, were made in Ukraine. So this idea of the world is flat, there's a great book written years ago called The World is Flat about how everything is all integrated. When you go to a factory nowadays for a car and you see where all these parts are coming from, you see how the supply chain can really melt down fast, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have Porsche 918 carbon fiber parts made in China. You have Corvette wheels made in China, but you also have semiconductors made in Taiwan. Like you said, the world is flat, but everything has to mesh and come together, and one little ripple can really upset the apple cart.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what I call a driving influence or inspiration for you, mentors in our lives. These are so important. You mentioned some great people that you've worked with in the past, Andy Cohen being one of them that gave you an opportunity and a chance. Is there somebody in your life that really has stood out and helped push you along in your career?
I tend to gravitate toward entrepreneurs and especially kind of Asian or Chinese American entrepreneurs. That just kind of happened to be. One of my early heroes was Bernard Lee. He owned a company called Eagle One Car Care. He made car waxes and cleaner and whatnot. And he's just a very meticulously dressed, real sharp-looking guy, detail-oriented, because he was in the business of selling, and making sure his cars looks good. Especially black cars are impossible to keep clean and detail.
Yeah.
And he got really savvy marketing. He had, a BMW M6, a 500 SEC W126 car. They're all in black. The license plate was EGOWON, Eagle One. It was just kind of a great play on word.
Yeah.
He was one of my mentors. He shared with me, what entrepreneurship is all about and how you can take it to the next level. And then toward the end, he sold to Valvoline for a bunch of money and started building motorcycles in Rancho Santa Fe, kind of his true passion. The other gentleman was Noah Lee of Monster Cable. I met him at one of the shows, and us being Asian, that the parents kind of forces you down to be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer, be whatnot. These guys were entrepreneurs, and they made it. And Noah Lee was one of the few guys at that time had like 10 sports cars, a couple of Porsches, a couple of Ferraris, a couple of Lamborghinis. My eye just popped up and goes, wow, how did you do that? What's your formula?
Yeah.
And I had the chance to spend some quality time with him. And he was very generous on sharing me with his time and how he built his company and so on and so forth. So I think mentorship is very, very important, especially that, I never went to college. I was kind of, wanted to earn money, wanted to get in the workforce right away. And I think the mentorship kind of taught me showed me what was possible and maybe smart enough to avoid some of the mistakes they made and help me accelerate and grow the businesses. So today, I have a handful of, I call them kids, that I mentor as well. And that's kind of my way of giving it back.
Yeah, it's so important. If you were going to advise somebody young, and I've been asked this, and I've been a mentor to people who are trying to change careers or do things that are younger than me, and it's really an enjoyable, rewarding way to give back. If you were going to advise a young person listening, how do you go about finding a mentor? Because I've heard that from people. I've become a mentor to some people when I didn't even realize it was happening. They just reached out to me, and then they realized I was accessible. They kept reaching out to me, and all of a sudden we were having weekly meetings, and like, oh, I guess I'm mentoring them now. It wasn't planned, but if somebody wanted to go find somebody who had the experience like you did and you have now, how would you advise them?
In a funny kind of way, so maybe social media, but don't fall for the guys in the private jet wearing the Gucci's
No.
and Dolce Gabbana and the fake gold Rolex that they're borrowing and whatnot. Find some genuine people that's doing well that you can align with, and maybe try to align it with the same core value and reach out. And a lot of times they may not answer you the first time or the second time or the third time. I mean, having the tenacity to reach out to somebody and see if they will reply or not, because they're getting dozens of these inquiries on a weekly basis as well, and they don't want to waste your time. That's one commodity I can't extend. I can't grow. I have a finite amount of time, and for the people that could benefit, I don't mind sharing that time with.
I appreciate you sharing some of your genius time with us today.
Oh, I wouldn't say genius, but okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, we're going to take a short break and thank our sponsors. We come back, I'm going to ask you the famous Cars Yeah challenge question, so keep that thought in mind. We'll be right back. Auto Geek's Blackfire SiO2 Spray Sealant. It's a spray-on, wipe-off sealant that's quick, safe, and easy to clean and protect your vehicles. I love using it on all my cars. Auto Geek's Blackfire SiO2 Spray Sealant is a spray-on, wipe-away sealant that uses SiO2 ingredients to provide a slick, brilliant, and long-lasting shine. Silicon dioxide is known to be one of the most effective ingredients in car care products, and Blackfire Spray Sealant takes advantage of every stunning feature it has to offer. This sealant will protect your paint from road film, dirt, and other common contaminants while providing an impeccable, long-lasting, hydrophobic surface that forces water to sheet and bead on your paint for months. Go to autogeek.net to get yours and for the best product selections on the internet today, along with their skilled technical support. Autogeek.net is where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. Check them out today. Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. If you're listening to this program, there's a pretty good chance you believe what I believe, that the collector vehicles we love are more than just a means of getting from one place to the other. They're a part of our culture, our identity, and as a people, they bring us together at vintage races, classic car auctions, and 1,000-mile rallies. That's why I support the RPM Foundation, which exists to ensure that the critical skills necessary to preserve and restore these important vehicles aren't lost to time. RPM stands for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, and their goal is to inspire the next generation of vehicle restoration professionals through its outreach programs. And they include Shop Hop, Off to the Races, the RPM Future Class, and many others. These programs engage talented young people across the country and connect them with mentors and a variety of opportunities in the industry. For more information on how the RPM Foundation is driving the future of collector vehicles skilled trade, visit rpm.foundation today. Okay, James, we're back. So let's talk about this. Big challenge, big obstacle, big failure. Some time that you just fell on your face. Things didn't look so good. But more importantly, what did getting up and dusting yourself off teach you so you could move forward in a positive way?
I think there's always been a drive that I had. Coming from an impoverished family, you figure the rich lives better and you want to have some financial security, and those were the things I didn't have. So from the early on, I had a tremendous amount of drive. But I also had a lot of passion. I was fortunate to pick certain businesses and careers that I want to excel in, but I was passionate about it. So it wasn't about looking at the clock. It wasn't about how many hours you put in and so on and so forth. It's all about doing something you truly love. And I didn't chase the money. The money came later. I just did what I like, and I was, again, live, breathe. I love cars. So I live, breathe, relate to making parts that are needed, looking for voids in the business, looking for services. And that's picks myself up. But, I learned from my mistakes. I learned from failures in the business. 2009 was awful. I had to sell some cars to kind of regroup, but you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. You got to have that drive. You got to have that tenacity.
Mentioning 2009, I've heard this from a lot of folks. I mean, this was a huge recessionary period. 2008-9, I mean, it affected a lot of people in a big negative way. Right now we're going through some challenging times post-COVID. The economy is kind of very, very iffy. There's a lot of still supply chain and all this stuff's going on. As a guy who lived through that period, what's the advice you could offer somebody right now? Because a lot of young people, they don't have the perspective you and I have. Now, I'm a lot older than you, so I've got a longer perspective, but these cycles come and go, and they always will. How would you advise somebody looking back now to prepare for a 2008, 2009, because we may be heading into one, who knows, so they don't fall on their face, so they don't get caught short, or they don't have themselves so leveraged that they lose everything?
Well, it's sunny right now, but it rains sometimes, so make sure you have your umbrellas ready. What I did was this. It was kind of interesting. I was in the business at that time that I was selling wants, not needs. So to find out a little bit more, I was making wheels for cars. Wheels is a luxury item. It is an afterthought, it is an aftermarket. You want to make the cars pretty. You want it to be different, but you don't need wheels. Cars come with wheels. So it's really a want, not a need. So again, I started looking at things, and I had to sell real estate. I had to sell my cars to kind of keep me afloat. We suffer 65% decline in our business because we were in a want business. So what I did was I created some need businesses. What's need that's related to wheels? Tires. Your tires wear out. You need tires.
Yeah.
It's a finite amount of time before you need new tires, so you can go to work, so you can travel to whatever. So again, getting into the tire business was extremely difficult. They're all multi-billion-dollar companies and whatnot. But I also found a void. So what I simply did was, people are getting kind of lazier and lazier, and they like the convenience and whatnot. So in 2013, 14, I started a mobile tire company.
Cool.
So I outfitted a bunch of Sprinter vans. I kind of figured the layout out, designed it, and we were basically selling tires. And the big difference is we installed the tires at your home or at your office, and we were completely self-contained.
Nice.
So I bootstrapped the business initially, and I had to run. And about 3-4 years later, I sold to America's largest tire mail order house.
There you go.
And they had at that time, I don't know, 6-7 warehouses, but they didn't have a reach like the largest American tire dealer, which is Discount Tire. So that was their competitor. So they bought my company, and I kind of effectively retired again, so they can compete with Discount Tire. So I was not really ahead of my time, but I found a void. I found a niche. I found a need that was that people were kind of gravitating toward. Then I got bought out, and then now they got bought out by Discount Tire. So now all 3,000 Discount Tire stores or whatnot, you got to correct me on that, can have a mobile service. So now it's kind of like having a dine-in pizza restaurant that does delivery at the same time. So yeah. It's going to be a huge growth for them. So again, I think foul weather is coming, and I wouldn't be as leveraged as I am now. Cash is sometimes king, and prepare for it. Again, a couple of times that you got humbled because of the economic, ebbs and tides, you're more ready for the next one. That's probably the best thing I can say.
Yeah, and whoever saw COVID coming, I mean, there's another one. It's like, what? There's a left one coming at you. Yeah, that really affected a lot of people. Let's talk a little bit about cars, James, because I know you love cars. You got some cool cars. Tell us about one really special vehicle you've had in your life, and take us on a little journey in that ride.
I think one or two is probably the Ferrari GTL Lusso that I had. I had a 64 Lusso that I bought in 2001, and it was, to me, one of the prettiest Ferraris ever made. That's in my humble opinion. I'll probably put that up against a short wheelbase or a GTO. And it was something that I had a good year in business, and I was able to afford that. And by today's standard, it was relatively not expensive. And I drove it everywhere. We drove from Los Angeles, where I live, to San Francisco, to Monterey. Took half a dozen road trips easily. And Mark, we talked about you had your Porsche 911S. I had a Lusso. They were not expensive cars. We could have took it to a supermarket, park it on the other side of the parking lot, and go grocery shopping in it.
Yeah.
Or take your kids to school, or just a car show. Okay, cars and coffee. We drove it often, and so that was one of the cars I had great memories of, and I literally drove it everywhere.
Well, that's pretty cool. Nowadays, of course, multi-million-dollar car, and you probably wouldn't leave it in a parking lot. So things change. But, you said something earlier, and I've been fortunate with the collector cars I've had, is don't buy a car thinking it's going to go up in value. Buy something you'll love and enjoy and you'll drive, and you might just get fortunate and it does go up, and there's might be a time you decide to let it go and move on to the next thing. But now, do you still have that Lusso today?
No, I think I paid like $154,000 for the car, and it went for millions.
Yeah, there is a time to let them go. I'm going through that right now with my my Orange Crush, as all your listeners know by now. And by the time this show airs, should be sold. So we'll see what's next. But that's a story for another time. Let's crawl into your head a little bit. Now, this could be a scary place because James is quite a character, as I said before. He's been rather tame today, and I appreciate that. I told him we're a family-friendly show, but he is hilarious, and you make me smile. You laugh. You poke fun at yourself. You do some off-color stuff, but you just kind of have this great attitude of, well, you know what? If you don't like me, I'm sorry. That's just who I am. But I want to crawl into your skull and be your car psychologist. If you were reincarnated, pun intended, as a vehicle, this isn't what you want to be, though, James. You got to look real deep into your soul. Ooh, the man in the mirror, get out the box of tissues. What would you be, but more importantly, the why?
Well, what would I be? I would like to say a Lamborghini Countach.
Okay.
I have a 86 Countach, quattro valve downdraft, whatnot.
Yeah.
But not because I'm particularly good looking like a Countach or sexy like a Countach. It just, that car, when it was, is that where we're going? Like, that car, when it was built, it was against all odds.
Yes.
Lamborghini was bankrupt like 3 times during the production of that car. There was very little compromise. It was very passionately built, passionately styled, and they just didn't give up. Beep, on that. And I think growing up in America, my life was very much like that. You had to make a little noise. You had to break a little rules. If I took the Toyota Camry route,
Yeah.
I would not safe, dependable, maybe somewhat fuel efficient and reliable. I wouldn't be where I am today. By no means I'm saying I'm a Lamborghini Countach, but from the history and how Ferruccio Lamborghini says, if Enzo and your car suck and I'm going to build something better, to naming a car, that basically means in Piemontese Italian, right? Basically means like, oh my gosh, or my mother-in-law is Italian. She has to be Piemontese. When I say, oh, what does Countach mean? Oh, that's a bad word where I come from. You can't say that.
Yeah.
But it basically means like, oh my God, or F you, or Fangu, or something crazy like that. So, again, a little bit uncompromising, but, I think that's kind of my alignment, or that's how I would like to compliment myself.
You said that really well. I love the way you answered that question. That was absolutely brilliant, and I would agree with that. If you follow James on Facebook, you'll get a much bigger flavor of who he is, and you get to see this beautiful white beast. In fact, you just posted a picture, I think it was this morning or yesterday, of you driving around with what you call Texas, because now you live in Texas, air conditioning with the doors up and open, right?
Yeah, the Countach is not known for their, air conditioning. It's got 2 little slots, and I was driving in my neighborhood going 20 miles an hour, so I had the doors wide open.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool way, and I shot a quick video about that. And then the other thing that's kind of fun is, we're in Texas now, so I've seen very few, a couple of Longhorns attached to a truck,
Yes.
and maybe a Cadillac. I think Boss Hogg had it on his 76 Cadillac Eldorado or something. It was like a triple white Eldorado with the horns on it. And that was very fitting him. So I installed a pair of no holes drilled. They're just double-sided. But I double-sided a pair of Longhorns. I think I sent you that picture in the bio.
Yeah.
So you can kind of post that up. And I sent a couple of Cars and Coffee, car shows with it.
Yeah.
And they get a big kick. It's Raging Bull. It's Longhorn. It's Texas. It's a Lamborghini. It kind of all ties in.
How do you like living in Texas? You haven't been there that long, but you certainly have embraced it. I've seen you shopping for boots and a hat, and it seems like you're settling in.
I'm a little clothes whore. I like to buy clothes. We've been there for about 9-10 months now. We absolutely love Texas. But again, I'm kind of the optimistic kind of guy and trying to embrace the culture here. And quote unquote, I may not have the best Chinese food or the best Thai food around because it's not that ethnic here. But gosh darn it, I have the best barbecue around. So, when in Rome, do what Romans do. When in Texas, wear your cowboy hats and enjoy your barbecue. So we are absolutely embracing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a great book that you'd like to share with folks that you either learned a lot from or were really entertained by?
I like biographies, autobiographies, and business books, or the combination of both. I think the last two books that I read and I reread again was I think The Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Yeah.
I think he started importing Essex sneakers from Japan, and then he got kind of jacked by them, and that's how he created Nike and Blue Ribbon Sport and the whole works. So shows a lot of tenacity, shows a lot of creativity, shows a lot of balls to go to Japan in the 70s, and look for manufacturing and so on and so forth. So probably that, and maybe Made in America by Sam Walton. It shows a lot of, humble stories from the beginning, and it shows a lot of determination and drive. And I like that stuff. And it's a fun story, and it's a fun read.
They are both two great books. I'll remind you listeners, there's a great place on my website called Guest Recommended Books, where all the wonderful books listed by my inspiring automotive enthusiasts are listed. There's way over 2,000 books listed there, and I've made it very easy for you to click and buy. So let's go on the ultimate drive today. I'm going to enable you, James, to go on the ultimate drive. I'm going to get out my big checkbook. I don't know if it's as big as a Texas checkbook, but it's pretty big. And I'm going to buy you anything in the world to go on a drive in. Any kind of car, doesn't matter who owns it, where it is, it's going to be in your garage there in Texas. You can go with anybody and somebody who's maybe past, so somebody from the past, and you could be driving anywhere. So what does the ultimate drive look like for a guy who loves to take ultimate drives? So
this is where the story gets a little sad. So most people would say, hey, I would love to have a McLaren F1 or a, Bentley, the blown Bentley from the 30s or whatnot, or, whatever. And it could be, childhood heroes to passed away Formula One drivers, would be very interesting people to ride with. But for me, it would be with my son. So my son's name is Enzo. This is how fanatical I was about it. And he passed away 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I recall that.
Yeah.
My condolences. I can't imagine.
It was a tough pill to swallow. We're still dealing with it now. But if I could have anything back, my son, he was 17 when he passed. He's been karting since he was 6 because we both gravitated toward the same thing. So the ultimate drive is probably the Lusso because I lost the Lusso as well as my son. And I had so much memories, which is good, that we built up throughout the whole drive. And, one of my favorite drives is really the PCH. And somewhere out of LA, probably start from Malibu or Zuma, through Santa Barbara, through, Big Sur, and finally Monterey. Never get tired of that drive unless you're stuck behind a RV going 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you can't pass.
Yeah, I've been there, done that for sure. I did that drive with my son when he was 8 years old in a Beck Spider that I bought from John Wilhoit. He built that car using all Porsche parts. Even the engine was a 56 Speedster engine that he'd put his magic touch on and modified. And we picked that car up and took off, spent 5 days. The car had no top, no heat, no radio. Drove all the way up the coast. It was just so much fun. And he still has not forgiven me for selling that car to this day. But I wish I could make that happen for you, my friend. That would be pretty darn cool. That is a wonderful drive. And I'll tell you, you think about all the guests I've had, many have said that is the drive. And these are a lot of people from Europe too.
Yeah.
That's the drive. So the fact that you've been able to do that, I assume you've driven, you said you've driven up that drive. I've done that.
9 times.
Yeah.
And the Lusso, I've driven it in my 230 SL Pagoda, which is a very slow drive.
Yeah.
I did it with the XKSS, my recreation car. That's kind of similar to your Beck, where you bring a baseball cap, you bring a hoodie, you bring
sunscreen and
sunscreen. And the weather could change, right? And then a rain jacket or a poncho. because mine didn't have a top as well, and there's no radio to be disturbing you and whatnot. It's a fantastic drive.
Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. Well, you've taken us on a fun ride today, James. I'm so grateful that you took some time to be with me here. And, now we're much more than Facebook friends. We're buddies, car buddies and friends. And you're part of the Cars Yeah alumni, which is a wonderful group of incredible people that I've had the pleasure and honor to introduce to my listeners here. Before I let you go, could you share maybe some parting words of wisdom, advice, a mantra, or inspiration for our listeners?
You're asking the wrong.
I don't think so. You're a little humble.
Words of advice. I think it's important to don't forget where you come from.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of successful people, a lot of wealthy people I met from that were self-made, didn't forget where they come from, and they become generous, with their time, especially with a little punk like me back in the days, and share with me and give me inspirations on, where you can take it. So heard this more than once, but don't forget where you come from. Stay humble.
Yeah, absolutely important. And again, I assume it's okay if people want to follow you on Facebook, they can go and follow you, because that's how I found out about you originally. And James is fun. Be prepared. Don't be too sensitive, because he just calls it the way it is. He puts himself out there. And he's just fun. And James, to me, you're all about fun.
Oh, we try to be. We only live here for so long, right? So I think my avatar is the Chinese guy with a cowboy hat, and I think the homepage right now is the Countach with the bull horns on it.
Yes,
but that changes, depends on what I come up with.
Yeah, you can't miss this guy. How can people learn more about ALMAX-USA and the wheels that you manufacture?
Oh, go to almax-usa.com. ALMAX-usa.com. We started work in progress. Wheels are coming in, and we should be ready for sale in the next 30 or 60 days. Again, I hope you guys support me on. It's not just a business, but we're giving jobs to Americans that one can need it. And when I went there, I was so humbled. There was guys that was machinists that the guys that was working in the foundry want to come up and shake my hand. Goes, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for giving us, the production and have a job. And I, I was almost in tears, kind of going, oh, you're welcome, but it's the least we can do,
Yeah, it's tremendous. My hat's off to you and your team. I'm so excited to present ALMAX-USA to the listeners here. If you're looking for an awesome set of USA-made wheels, ALMAX and James Chen and his team there, they're the people to go to. I'll put links to that, but they're very easy to find. ALMAX-USA. James, thanks for spending some time with me today. We're recording this on Memorial Day. My heart and thanks to all the people who gave their lives for this country and around the world. A very special day for everybody. I've got two veterans in my family who have passed, my father and my father-in-law who served. Thank you to everybody in the families, for today.
We thank him for our services. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, you're welcome. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.